Welcome to Fluffy. Channel, dear listeners, to a time of tranquility and rest. As the stars twinkle softly in the night sky and the world quiets down to a gentle whisper, I invite you to join me on a peaceful journey to the land of dreams. Tonight, we will be accompanied by a sweet little girl rabbit named Fluffy, whose adventures in the soothing meadows of Sleepy Hollow will guide us towards a night of serene slumber. So, make yourself comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy a tale that will gently lull you into a restful sleep. Chapter 1: The Midnight Invitation. In the quiet village of Starfield, where the nights were as velvety as the richest of chocolates, and the stars twinkled like gems strewn across the sky, there lived a rabbit girl named Fluffy. Her fur was as soft as the whispers of the wind, and her eyes held the bright curiosity of 1,000 stories waiting to be told. Fluffy lived on the edge of a vast, whispering forest that the villagers spoke of in hushed tones. They told tales of a world within, where the moon kissed the earth and the trees danced to an ancient rhythm known only to them. The villagers would never venture into the forest after dusk, fearing the enchantments that awaited in the shadowy depths. But Fluffy was different. She longed for adventure, for the stories that lay beyond the reach of her cozy burrow. One peculiar night, when the moon was a slender crescent in the inky sky, a soft humming filled Fluffy's burrow. It was a sound that seemed to weave through the very air, gentle and inviting. She poked her head out, her nose twitching with anticipation. A path lay before her, dotted with shimmering stones that radiated a gentle light. This was no ordinary path. It had never been there before, and it seemed to beckon just to her. With a heart full of wonder and pause that barely touched the soft earth, Fluffy followed the path. The stones pulsed with a warm glow, leading her deeper into the forest than she had ever been. The trees leaned in curiously, their branches parting as if to clear the way for her. The air was alive with the magic that caressed her fur, filling her senses with comforting warmth. As she ventured further, the forest began to transform. The silver glow of the moon seemed to descend like a mist, wrapping around the trunks and leaves, casting everything in an ethereal light. The night was alive with whispers and twinkles, as if the stars themselves had descended to play amidst the woods. A clearing opened up ahead, where the light gathered more intensely. Fluffy stepped into the circle, and the humming grew louder, harmonious, like a lullaby meant to soothe the restless. In the center of the clearing stood an owl, its feathers as white as the moonlight, its eyes deep and knowing. "Welcome, Fluffy," the owl spoke, its voice as clear as the night sky. "The forest has awaited your arrival. You have been chosen to embark upon a journey, a tale of wonder and dreams. Fluffy's ears perked up and her heart skipped a beat. Chosen? For what? She asked, her voice tinged with both excitement and a hint of fear. To find the stories that lay hidden beneath the moonlit canopy, the owl continued, to weave them into dreams that will bring peace to those who lie awake, yearning for rest. Will you accept this quest? Fluffy felt the weight of the owl's words settle upon her like a soft cloak. She thought of her fellow villagers, of the countless nights she had seen the candlelight flicker in their windows, a silent testament to their sleepless struggles. Yes, she said, her voice steady and sure. I will accept. Tell me what I must do. The owl spread its wings, and the clearing was bathed in a brilliant light. Follow the moon's whisper, solve the riddles of the night, and gather the shards of the dreamstone. With it, you can weave dreams that sing the soul into slumber. And with those final words, the owl lifted into the sky, becoming one with the moon's glow. Fluffy looked around, the path continuing deeper into the forest, now more inviting than ever. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, her mind alive with possibilities. This was the beginning of her story, a tale that would bring the gift of dreams to those who needed them most. And with each hop, she felt the magic of the forest guide her, whispering secrets and tales that danced in the moonlight. Chapter 2: The Silvery Woods. As dawn's first light had yet to kiss the sky, Fluffy, the rabbit girl with a heart full of courage, stepped into the silvery woods. The trees stood tall and proud, their bark shimmering with a soft light that seemed to breathe with the life of the forest. The path before her was dappled with the silver light of the moon's last smile before it bid the world good night. Fluffy's whiskers twitched with the excitement of the unknown, her paws sinking slightly into the mossy floor that cushioned her every step. The air was filled with the scent of pine and the subtle hint of wildflowers that hid from the night. The forest seemed to sing a silent song, one that only her heart could hear, and it guided her deeper into the silvery woods. She remembered the owl's words, to follow the moon's whisper. But how does one hear a whisper in such silence? Fluffy closed her eyes and listened. There, beneath the quiet, was a soft murmuring, like the rustling of silk. It was the sound of the leaves swaying gently, speaking in the voice of the moon. With the moon's whisper as her guide, Fluffy hopped along, her ears catching the nuances of the night. Suddenly, a soft glow caught her attention. There, nestled between the roots of an ancient oak, was a shard of the Dreamstone, pulsing with a light that matched the rhythm of Fluffy's own heartbeat. As she approached the shard, a riddle echoed through the woods, its source unseen. I am the keeper of stories untold, in the heart of the woods, beneath leaves of old. Seek me out with a soul brave and true, for I hold a piece of the clue you pursue. Fluffy pondered the riddle, her mind weaving through the possibilities like a dancer in the wind. The keeper of stories. Could it be the ancient oak before which she now stood? Its trunk was wide and welcoming, its branches like the arms of a storyteller beckoning her closer. With a resolve as strong as the oak itself, Fluffy approached the tree and placed a paw against its bark. It was warm to the touch, and the wood pulsed with a life force that hummed in harmony with the Dreamstone shard. Great oak of the silvery woods, Fluffy spoke with reverence. I am Fluffy, seeker of the Dreamstone shards. I believe you hold the stories I need to weave the dreams. The oak's leaves rustled in response, and the ground beneath Fluffy's paws shifted. Slowly, a hollow in the tree's base revealed itself, and within its depths lay another piece of the Dreamstone, its light intertwining with the first shard's glow. As Fluffy reached out and gently took the shard, the oak whispered in a voice as old as time, "Brave rabbit girl with fur of snow, your journey's long, with far to go. Combine the shards and hold them tight, for they will guide you through the night." With 2 shards now in her possession, Fluffy felt the warmth of the Dreamstone spread through her, a promise of the dreams she would create. She tucked the shards into her satchel and looked up at the waning stars. The silvery woods seemed to sigh with contentment, the trees nodding their approval. Fluffy knew that her adventure was just beginning, and many more riddles awaited her clever mind and pure heart. The path ahead wound through thickets and over streams that whispered of daylight. And as the first rays of dawn stretched across the sky, painting the world in hues of gold and pink, Fluffy hopped forward, her spirit undaunted. For in her heart she carried the moon's whisper, the oak's wisdom, and the gleaming promise of dreams yet to be spun into the tapestry of slumber. Chapter 3: The Riddle of the River. With 2 Dreamstone shards in her satchel and the first light of dawn painting the sky, Fluffy ventured forth. The silvery woods gave way to the banks of a wide, meandering river. It was known as the Whispering Water, for the way its currents carried secrets and songs for those who knew how to listen. On the sandy banks, Fluffy found paw prints, not her own. They were accompanied by tiny, shimmering scales that glinted like dew in the morning sun. The river, it seemed, had its own guardians. Fluffy remembered tales of the river spirits, creatures of water and light, whose riddles were as deep as the river itself. As she followed the trail, the gentle babble of the river grew into coherent words. Seeker of dreams, you wish to cross, but first, a riddle you must toss, the river sang. Fluffy, undeterred by the task at hand, called out, "River of whispers, I stand ready to hear your riddle and answer with clarity." And so the river spoke. Born of the cloud, I fall with grace to run a long, winding race. I carve the earth, I quench the land in winter's grip. I'm still and grand. But tell me, seeker with fur so white, what am I when I'm out of sight? Fluffy thought of the dreamstone and the way it illuminated the unseen. She realized that even when the river's waters burrowed beneath the earth, they continued to flow, unseen but ever present. You are the underground stream, she answered confidently. The river laughed, a sound like rain on leaves, and the waters before her parted, revealing stepping stones that glowed with an inner light. Well answered, dream seeker. Cross my heart and fear no darker, the river whispered. As Fluffy hopped from stone to stone, she marveled at the river's depth, its waters teeming with life and the memory of rain. Upon reaching the opposite bank, the river bestowed upon her another shard of the dreamstone, this one as blue as the deepest part of the river itself. With the third shard in hand, Fluffy knew the dreamstone's power was growing, as was her ability to weave dreams. She turned to thank the river, but it only replied with a ripple and a wink, as if it knew of the challenges and wonders still waiting for her. As Fluffy set out from the river's edge, the sun climbed higher, chasing away the last of the morning mist. Her journey was far from over, and the next chapter awaited, where the whispers of the river would become the songs of the sky. Chapter 4: The Whispering Willows. As Fluffy ventured beyond the river's embrace, the landscape transformed. The dense foliage of the silvery woods thinned, revealing an expanse of willows. Their long, slender branches swayed in the wind, whispering secrets of the ancient land. The willow leaves rustled with the voices of the past, each tree a sentinel of stories long forgotten. The dreamstone shards pulsed in rhythm with the whispers, guiding Fluffy deeper into the grove. It was said the whispering willows held the key to understanding the language of the earth, a skill essential to the weaver of dreams. With the guidance of the trees, Fluffy learned the subtle art of listening. The willows spoke of the earth's heartbeat, of roots intertwined, connecting all life. They murmured tales of the guardians who walked these paths before, those who sought the wisdom of the dreamstone. Among the willows, Fluffy discovered a clearing bathed in moonlight. In its center stood a grand willow, its bark etched with symbols that shimmered under the night sky. The dreamstone shards vibrated, resonating with the energy of the ancient tree. The grand willow spoke, its voice clear and resonant. Dream weaver, you have heard our whispers, but to receive our gift, you must share a dream of your own. Fluffy closed her eyes, recalling a dream of her earliest days, a memory of warmth and safety, of a field bathed in sunlight and laughter. As she whispered her dream to the willow, the symbols on the bark glowed brighter, and a gentle breeze lifted her words into the night. The grand willow's branches lowered, offering Fluffy a new shard, this one clear as crystal, embodying the purity of her shared dream. The willow imparted wisdom to Fluffy, teaching her that dreams were not just visions, but echoes of one's soul, connecting all beings. With the fourth shard secured, Fluffy felt her understanding of the dreamstone's power deepen. She now knew that weaving dreams was not just a solitary act, but a communal exchange, a tapestry of interconnected threads of life. Thanking the grand willow, Fluffy left the clearing with a newfound sense of purpose. The whispers of the willows faded into a soft chorus behind her, encouraging her onward. The path ahead was shrouded in the mists of the unknown, but Fluffy's resolve was steadfast. The journey through the whispering willows had shown her that every creature, every plant, every stone had a dream to share, and she was the conduit through which they would all be woven into reality. The chapter closes with Fluffy looking up at the stars, the constellations telling their own ancient stories, ready to guide her to the next part of her quest. Chapter 5: The Moonstone Meadow. As the moon rose high, casting a silver glow over the land, Fluffy's journey led her to the brink of an ethereal expanse. The air hummed with magic, and a gentle breeze whispered secrets of the night. She stood at the entrance of the Moonstone Meadow, a place told in hushed tones amongst the critters of the storybook realm. It was said that the meadow shimmered with a light of its own, reflecting the heavens so earnestly that it could command the very stars to pause in their celestial paths. The grass beneath her paws felt like strands of silk, cool and slightly damp from the evening dew. Above her, the sky was a canvas of deep blues and purples, speckled with the glittering dots of starlight. Fireflies danced around her in a symphony of light, their bodies moving in harmony with the whispering wind. The meadow was alive, breathing in the night, exhaling a luminescent glow that seemed to pulse with the rhythms of the universe. Fluffy's heart swelled at the sight, the beauty of it almost overwhelming. The dreamstone around her neck pulsed, as if in recognition of the meadow's significance. It was here, she knew, that she would find the next shard she sought, the piece that held the essence of night within its crystalline depths. She ventured forward, her senses alight with the magic that infused the meadow. The fireflies led her onward, swirling in patterns that felt deliberate and full of purpose. Fluffy followed, her steps tentative but determined, until she reached the heart of the meadow, where the moonlight pooled like liquid silver. A shadow moved across the light, large and imposing, yet carrying an air of majesty. A stag stood before her, its coat a pristine white that seemed untouched by the shadows of the world. Its antlers arched towards the sky, a crown that was both part of the earth and the stars. The creature's eyes held the depth of the night sky, and when it spoke, its voice was like the rustling of leaves and the gentle flow of a distant river. Traveler of dreams, the stag began, you who seek the whispers of the night and the secrets of the stars, tell me, what have you learned of the light and the darkness? Fluffy pondered the question, her mind reaching for the lessons each shard had taught her. Light and dark, she replied, are but two halves of the same cycle. They do not exist without each other. They are the rhythm of life. The stag nodded, its gaze never leaving Fluffy. To hold the moonstone, you must understand the balance it represents. You must see the beauty in the transient, the fleeting nature of all things. Will you accept the challenge to see beyond the veil of eternity? I will, Fluffy affirmed, her voice a mere whisper, yet it carried the weight of her resolve. The test was not one of strength or speed, but of vision and understanding. The meadow began to change around her, the night accelerating into day, then back again in a matter of moments. Flowers bloomed and wilted before her eyes, their life cycle a dance to the tune of time itself. Fluffy watched, her eyes wide with wonder and a touch of sorrow for the beauty that was so ephemeral. Yet, she she felt a stirring within her, a sense of awe at the natural order of things. It was a cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth, never ending, always renewing. She closed her eyes and began to weave a dream, her thoughts spinning a tapestry that captured the essence of the meadow. In her dream, she saw the cycle as a source of strength, a foundation upon which the meadow thrived. Each creature, each plant, each stone played its part in a grand design that was as old as time itself. When she opened her eyes, the moonstone lay before her, nestled among the roots of an ancient oak. It glowed softly, a light that seemed to hold the very soul of the meadow within its facets. "You have seen true," the stag said, and there was a hint of pride in its tone. "Take the stone with my blessing and remember the lessons of this place." Fluffy reached out and picked up the moonstone, its surface cool and smooth beneath her fingers. The shard from the meadow joined the others on the dreamstone, a perfect fit. She felt a rush of energy, a connection to the world that was deeper and more profound than she had ever known. As she turned to leave the meadow, the first light of dawn kissed the horizon, painting the world in hues of pink and gold. The night had passed, but the wisdom it had imparted lingered within her, a steady flame that would light her way. With the moonstone's power now part of her own, Fluffy knew that her journey was far from over. There were more shards to find, more lessons to learn. But for now, she stepped out of the meadow with a sense of peace, ready for whatever the day would bring. Chapter 6: The Nocturnal Parade. In the aftermath of dawn, as Fluffy left the moonstone meadow, the dreamstone's gentle thrum pulsed in harmony with the new day's symphony of colors. Yet, her journey whispered of the night's embrace, and she felt the pull of twilight's secrets, even under the sun's watchful eye. Her path veiled by the mists of morning, Fluffy wandered through a copse of whispering trees, their leaves murmuring the tales of old. The world seemed to hush in anticipation, and the air thrummed with a peculiar energy. She emerged into a clearing where the mist danced and swirled, coalescing into shapes that moved with purpose and grace. Before her very eyes, the mist gave birth to a procession of nocturnal creatures, a parade of phantoms born from the fabric of dreams. At the helm of the procession was a wise old owl, its feathers an intricate tapestry of midnight blues and starry speckles. Its eyes, orbs of ancient knowledge, locked with Fluffy's, and in that gaze, she understood that this was no ordinary parade, but a gathering of the night's guardians, each a keeper of a sacred story. Behind the owl marched a line of shadowy figures, raccoons with masks of ebony and silver, foxes with coats that shimmered like the aurora borealis, and cats whose eyes glowed with the light of unseen moons. Each step they took left a trail of stardust that hung in the air, a testament to the magic that the night wielded. Fluffy felt the dreamstone pulse faster now, its beat a counterpoint to the rhythm of the nocturnal parade. With each pulse, the scenes around her seemed to grow sharper, the colors more vibrant, and the sounds more melodious. It was as if the dreamstone was not only a part of her, but a part of everything that the parade touched. The owl spoke, its voice a deep timbre that resonated with the very earth beneath their feet. Bearer of dreams, you have walked through the night and carried its essence. Now, witness the stories that thrive in the heart of darkness, where the sun's reach falters and the moon's children play. Fluffy, entranced, watched as each creature passed by her, nodding in acknowledgement of her presence. They were not mere animals, but spirits of the night, each with a tale that wove into the fabric of the dream realm. As they marched, their stories unfolded in the air around them, visions of their nocturnal escapades painting the sky with ephemeral images. A raccoon revealed a tale of cunning and mischief, a dance of survival and wit that played out in the human world's shadows. A fox showed a story of family and loyalty, its journey through the forest a testament to the bonds that tie the heart of the wild. The cats, ever enigmatic, spun a yarn of mystery and magic, their silent paws treading the line between the seen and the unseen. The parade halted, and the creatures formed a circle around Fluffy. The owl flew to land before her, its presence commanding yet comforting. Each of us carries a shard, a fragment of the night's soul. To collect them, you must share in our tales and carry them forth into the realm of dreams. Are you prepared to be the vessel of our stories? Fluffy nodded, her resolve firm. I am, she said, her voice steady despite the awe that filled her. The ceremony that followed was one of whispers and shadows, of soft feathers and quieter purrs. One by one, the creatures approached Fluffy, pressing against the dreamstone and infusing it with their essence. With each touch, Fluffy felt her consciousness expand, her understanding of the night deepening. The shards of the night were more than mere fragments to be collected. They were experiences to be understood, wisdom to be gained. Each shard pulsed within the dreamstone, a cacophony of nocturnal harmonies that sang of the unseen world's wonders. As the final creature stepped back, the parade dissolved back into the mist, leaving Fluffy alone in the clearing with the dreamstone now ablaze with a soft, otherworldly light. The nocturnal parade was over, but its echoes would linger in her soul, a constant reminder of the depth and beauty found in the embrace of the night. Fluffy's journey was far from over, but she carried with her the strength of the stories she had witnessed, the courage of the creatures she had met, and the wisdom of the night that had forever changed her. With the Dreamstone's light as her guide, she stepped forward, ready for the next chapter of her tale. Chapter 7: The Enchanted Glen. With the luminescence of the Dreamstone now a constant companion, Fluffy's journey carried her deeper into the realm of slumbering secrets. The path wound through a forest dense with ancient trees, their canopies intertwined in a silent pact of ages past. It led her to the edge of an enchanted glen, a place whispered about by the winds and written in the stars, but seldom seen by waking eyes. The glen was alive with magic, a tapestry of greens and golds, of light and shadow playing in eternal balance. Flowers bloomed with an inner light, and the air hummed with the song of life, an area of the earth's joy. At the heart of the glen stood an elder tree, its bark etched with runes that glowed with a gentle blue hue, telling stories of the earth's old magic. Fluffy approached the tree, her paw steps muffled by the lush grass. The Dreamstone throbbed in response to the tree's energy, a silent conversation between ancient powers. As she reached out to touch the bark, the air stilled, and the glen seemed to lean in, watching. The elder tree's voice was like the rustle of leaves, a deep murmur that seemed to echo from the very depths of the earth. Dream-bearer, you have come to the heart of the glen, where the magic of the earth is strongest. Here, the stories are not just told, they are lived. The ground shimmered, and the glen unfolded itself into a realm within a realm. A vision of the world not as it was, but as it could be, filled with harmony and untouched by sorrow. Animals of all kinds roamed freely, their forms aglow with the same light that danced upon the petals of the glen's flowers. A deer with antlers like woven branches of silver approached, its eyes deep pools of knowledge. To gain the shard of the earth, you must understand the bond between all living things. You must feel the roots that connect us, the pulse of life that flows through every vein. Fluffy's heart swelled as she felt the connection, an invisible thread that wove through her being, linking her to the glen, to the elder tree, to the deer before her, and to the very essence of the world itself. The Dreamstone's glow intensified, and Fluffy closed her eyes, allowing the energy of the glen to fill her. Visions danced behind her eyelids, scenes of the earth's generosity, its cycles of growth and rest, of life and rebirth. When she opened her eyes, the glen had changed once more. The animals gathered around her in a circle, each one different, yet the same, each with its own tale that contributed to the greater story of life. They spoke not in words, but in memories, sharing with Fluffy the sacred dance of nature, the ebb and flow that sustained the world. Fluffy felt the shard of the earth settle within the dreamstone, a piece that was both cornerstone and compass. It was a shard that spoke of balance, of the delicate interplay between light and dark, life and death, dream and waking. As the animals faded into the light, leaving only the elder tree as witness, Fluffy knew that her journey was part of something greater. She was not just a dreamer or a story weaver. She was a guardian of connections, a bearer of the earth's hopes and dreams. With the dreamstone now a kaleidoscope of colors, each shard a vibrant hue, Fluffy stepped out of the glen with newfound purpose. Her path lay ahead, clear and true, leading her to the next chapter of her quest, to the next story that awaited her tender care. Chapter 8: The Shadows Dance. In the heart of the enchanted glen, where the moonlight shone like a beacon through the mist, Fluffy the rabbit girl felt the cool whisper of the night air as it danced around her. The leaves rustled, speaking the language of the ancients as she hopped along the silvered path, her paws barely making a sound on the mossy floor. The evening had cloaked the world in hues of twilight, with stars beginning to shimmer like the very gems that studded her path. Fluffy's heart beat with the rhythm of the enchanted glen, slow, serene, yet filled with anticipation. Tonight was the night of the Shadows Dance, an event as old as the whispers of time, where the creatures of the dark revealed themselves in a ballet of grace and mystery. As she ventured deeper into the woods, the trees seemed to lean in, their branches intertwining to form archways, as if to honor her journey. The moonstone meadow lay behind her, its glow still warm on her fur. But ahead was something unknown, something that sent thrills of excitement and nerves through her small body. Then she heard it, the softest flutter, like silk against silk, and a melody so faint it was almost a feeling rather than a sound. The shadows' dance had begun. Shadows detached themselves from the trees, swirling in the air, their forms both terrifying and beautiful. They twisted and turned, spirals of darkness that defied the logic of the world above. Fluffy, entranced by the sight, found a hidden alcove, a natural amphitheater from which to watch the performance. The shadows moved with purpose, their dance telling stories of the forest, of the creatures that dwelt within, and of the magic that pulsed beneath the roots and vines. A shadow larger than the rest caught her attention. It moved with a grace that belied its size, its dance more intricate and intense. Fluffy felt a connection to this shadow, a pull towards the story it weaved through its fluid movements. It was a tale of a guardian spirit, one that had watched over the enchanted glen for centuries, its presence a comforting constant for all its inhabitants. The dance built in a crescendo, with the shadows leaping higher, their forms blending and separating in a visual symphony. Fluffy's heart matched their pace, and she found herself rising to her paws, her body moving in harmony with the dark figures. She was part of the dance now, her own shadow cast against the theater of nature, twirling and leaping with its newfound companions. As the night reached its deepest silence, the dance slowed, and the shadows drew back into their arboreal homes, leaving behind a quiet that was both solemn and sweet. Fluffy sat, her breaths coming out in misty puffs, feeling a peace she had never known. The guardian's shadow lingered a moment longer, giving a nod to the rabbit girl, an acknowledgement of her brave heart and the role she played this night. The shadow's dance was a reminder of the balance between light and dark, a lesson in the beauty of both. Fluffy knew she would carry this night within her, a story etched in the stars, a dance woven into the fabric of her being. With a final glance at the clearing, now empty and serene, she turned and hopped back along the path that would lead her to new adventures, her spirit forever changed by the dance of the shadows. Chapter 9. The Moonlit Summit. The enchanted glen had settled into a deep, serene slumber following the nocturnal ballet of the shadows dance. But for Fluffy, the rabbit girl with a heart as curious as the unexplored paths of the forest, sleep was a distant thought. She was drawn by a call that seemed to echo from above, a silent whisper that beckoned her to the moonlit summit. As she ventured forth, the path under her paws became steeper, the forest around her thinning as she ascended. The night was her mantle, the moon her guide, casting silver beams through the branches, creating a mosaic of light and shadow on the ground before her. The air grew crisper with altitude, and the scent of pine and ancient stone told stories of a place seldom touched by time or travelers. The summit was not just a place, but a legend. It was said that on certain nights, when the moon was a perfect orb of luminous mystery, the summit would awaken, revealing secrets meant only for the purest of hearts. and the bravest of souls. Fluffy's ears twitched with excitement, her every step a beat in a song written just for her. As the final trees gave way, Fluffy emerged onto a wide plateau. Here, the sky was a tapestry of stars, each one a story, a dream, a whisper of the cosmos. The moonlit summit was bathed in a celestial glow, the ground a tapestry of moonstones that mirrored the night sky above. Fluffy's paw touched the cool stone, and a shiver of connection ran through her. Here was the heart of the mountain, the soul of the sky, the spirit of the earth, all converging. In the center of the plateau stood an ancient dais, a circle of stones arranged by some forgotten civilization, their purpose lost to time, but not to the magic that still clung to them like morning dew. Fluffy approached, her reflection in the moonstones following her with a ghostly grace. As she reached the dais, the air around her began to hum with an energy that resonated with the core of the mountain itself. The moonstones lit up, not with the reflection of the moon above, but from within, a luminescence that pulsed to the rhythm of Fluffy's own heartbeat. She took her place in the center, her eyes wide with wonder. Then the summit spoke, not in words, but in memories, visions that flooded into Fluffy's mind. She saw the summit in ages past, a place of gathering for those who respected the balance of nature, who sought to learn from the wisdom of the earth. She saw the dances, the rituals, the quiet contemplation of stars. She saw the guardians of the summit, ethereal figures that watched over the world from this lofty perch. The vision shifted, showing Fluffy the vast interconnectedness of all things. The trees, the rivers, the stones, and the stars. She felt a love for the world she could not have articulated, a profound understanding that she was a part of something much larger, much more intricate than she had ever imagined. As the visions faded, the moonstones dimmed, and Fluffy was left in the gentle embrace of the moon's light. She knew she had been given a gift, a glimpse into the heart of the world that would guide her in the chapters to come. With a heart full of new tales and a spirit touched by the ancient wisdom of the moonlit summit, Fluffy took a deep breath of the crisp mountain air and prepared for her descent. The path ahead was still unknown, but she carried with her the light of the summit, a beacon that would shine through the remaining shadows of her journey. Chapter 10. The Dawn of Dreams. As Fluffy descended from the moonlit summit, the first light of dawn began to paint the horizon in hues of pink and gold. The The nocturnal adventure that had led her through the mysteries of the night was coming to a close. But with the new day's light, a different kind of magic began to unfold. The summit's revelations still danced in Fluffy's mind, the visions and connections of the world's intricate web pulsating within her. With each step down the mountain path, the warmth of the rising sun seemed to whisper of new beginnings, of stories yet to be told, and dreams yet to be chased. The forest welcomed her back with open branches, the creatures of the day stirring to life. Birds sang from the treetops, their melodies a sweet serenade to the morn. The air was fresh with the scent of dew-covered leaves and blossoms that opened to greet the day. Fluffy's heart swelled with a newfound appreciation for the life that thrummed around her. As she moved through the silvery woods, now touched by dawn's gentle hand, the rabbit girl felt a change within her. The moonlit summit had not only shown her the depth of the world's magic, but had awakened within her a magic of her own. She felt connected to the earth's rhythm, her senses heightened, her intuition sharpened. The creatures of the woods seemed to recognize this change in her, approaching without fear. Deer nuzzled her hands, birds landed on her shoulders, and even the most elusive of forest dwellers, the foxes, regarded her with curious eyes. Fluffy realized that she had become a part of the forest's tapestry, a character in its story. Her journey through the chapters of the night had been a preparation, a series of lessons woven into tales. Now, as the day broke, it was time for Fluffy to craft her own story. With the wisdom of the summit in her heart, she knew that her dreams were not just figments of sleep, but seeds of reality waiting to be nurtured. She found a clearing bathed in sunlight, the beams filtering through the leaves in golden columns. Here, Fluffy sat and closed her eyes, her mind a canvas for the dawn of dreams. In her vision, she saw the forest thriving, the harmony between all living things restored. She saw herself not just as an observer or a wanderer, but as a guardian, a keeper of stories, and a weaver of dreams. With the clarity of the morning's first light, Fluffy opened her eyes. She knew what she had to do. Her story would be one of unity and peace, a bridge between the whispers of the night and the songs of the day. She would share the tales of her nocturnal journey, spread the wisdom of the summit, and teach others to listen to the heartbeat of the world. The dawn of dreams marked the beginning of Fluffy's new chapter, one that extended beyond the pages of a storybook. With the forest as her home and the creatures as her companions, she embarked on a life filled with purpose. She became a legend in her own right, the rabbit girl who danced with shadows, conversed with stars, and awoke to the possibilities of a new day. As the sun climbed higher, casting its life-giving light upon the world, Fluffy's story came to a close, but the dreams she nurtured and the tales she would tell were just beginning. The end of this book was the dawn of countless others, each a promise of adventure, learning, and the timeless dance of darkness and light. And so, with the forest fully awake and the sky a canvas of daybreak's glory, we bid farewell to Fluffy, the rabbit girl whose journey through the night led her to the dawn of her dreams. The end of this tale is but a whisper in the wind, a seed planted in the fertile ground of imagination, ready to bloom in the hearts of those who believe in the magic of stories and the power of dreams.